good human being. Um, I am trying to find my microphone here. Oh. I am going to say that I'm not going to edit these videos. I'm just going to push them out raw, and whatever happens, happens. I'm not a professional at doing this. This is not something I'm going to make money on. So all my fumbles and mistakes that I make, um, these are just going to be raw videos. I don't have the time, patience, or energy to edit these things and give some, perfect post-production thing. Enough said about that. Hopefully that follows into future videos. People understand that. You guys understand that. Sorry. Um, so I'm in a situation with work. I own my own company. It's a very small company. And I did something in my business as it relates to a project with a client that I've never done before. And I was a little bit nervous about doing it, but it had to be done because the relationship wasn't necessarily working out. And I don't want to find myself in a situation like that. They can be stressful. They can cause me to overthink things. Um, I love what I do. Again, I'm a woodworker. I love what I do. It brings me great joy, and I get to make things that I'm proud of. And quite honestly, it feels good when somebody tells you, you're really good at what you do. You're very talented. I try not to let it go to my head. Sometimes I'm just embarrassed when somebody says that, and I don't know why I'm embarrassed. I shouldn't be. Um, so anyhow, back to this issue, and there's money involved and contractual stuff, and I don't know how it's going to go. I know what I had to do, and what I did is just, and it's right, and I gave it a lot of thought before doing it. And it wasn't done out of anger. It wasn't done out of anything other than me trying to be a good steward for my business, because nobody else is going to do it because I'm small. I'm small in height, but I'm also small as business goes. Um, and the communications now are via email. And email or text can be really tricky because a lot of times tone is not there. Tone is missing, and that can truly, lots of communications can be misunderstood, misconstrued, take your pick of what miss it is. And for me, it was just a misalignment. And I didn't want that to continue because it would be stressful. It would cause risks on both sides. And anyhow, I sent a letter, and I thought it was professional. I know it was professional. I received one back, and that needed to be carefully reviewed and responded to, which I did. And at no time in this was I feeling a lot of stress. I was just starting to feel more relief and more relief. And the reason is because I have these principles of a 12-step program, and I have these principles of a philosophy, and I have good people around me, and I really live these. I live this daily. I live this thing daily, and I wake up and I have a routine, and my routine is I do some readings. Some are 12-step related. Others are readings about philosophy, like quotes and things like that, and little lessons. And these things, this is all before I get out of bed. And it's very peaceful. It's very peaceful. And I try to start my day that way. By the way, I don't even check my email till like 9 o'clock or later, because there's nothing in there that I'm actually ready to act on until after that time anyway. So nothing's happened so far. I've only been doing this for, I don't know, like a year and a half that I don't check emails first thing. And nothing bad has happened. And I think thinking about something bad's going to happen is just me being a time traveler and a predictor. And I I joke around sometimes. My crystal ball is all gray and smoky and broken. I can't see anything in it. And since Hogwarts doesn't sell any more crystal balls, so I just have to live life in a recovered fashion and realize that this fear that I have of things to come, fear is a misuse of my imagination. Dreaming is dreaming. I dream in extra, like I dream in IMAX, and I remember my dreams, and sometimes they're just weird and funny, but they never seem to come true. Neither does my predictions about the future. So this business concern, this issue, I don't know how it's going to turn out. I respond politely to all communications, and I take my time writing them and reading them to make sure if I was receiving this, how would I feel? If I was receiving this as a business person, how would I consider this? You poke the bear long enough, the bear's going to growl at you and to maybe take a swipe. That doesn't always have to happen. It might still happen, but if it does, I'll deal with it then. And as this thing's progressing, I see that the two parties, me included, are not necessarily seeing eye to eye. I know what I did was just. There's an agreement that spells out certain things, and I followed those guidelines. And if I misstepped, I don't think I did here. I know I didn't here. But if I were to misstep, I would address that. I would address it quickly and honestly and take responsibility for my part in this relationship, which hopefully this is going to pass quickly and perhaps the relationship can transfer into something else. Who knows? I don't, because I don't know the future. By the way, in my videos, you're going to hear that in the background. I have 3 dogs, and they are the most unruly beasts. My wife calls them the hooligans. They're not good dogs, but I love them something awful. Anyway, another thing that brings me peace in my day. So using these principles from both recovery and these principles from philosophy has allowed me to not be stressed. I'm not feeling any stress about this. No matter what happens, I won't allow stress to take me over because stress seems to just be me living in a second from now, and then a second from now, and then a second from now. And it seems like it's just one tiny step in front of me, but it never seems to happen. And the now I live in, which is right now while I'm doing this video, everything is great. I have what I need. I have what I want. And I have more than what I want. Some of the things, I'll be honest, sometimes I just share my belongings and possessions with people that don't have some of this stuff because I realize I have more than I need and I can be helpful to another person and show gratitude to another person by sharing. That's not the old me. This is a very new version of me. I would say year and a half on the outside that this has occurred to me. Maybe closer to a year. Honestly, I haven't tracked it. I've lived it. And that's, again, pointing back to the idea of what this channel's about. This channel's about living in recovery, recovering from a certain situation, a thing. Yes, I recovered from drugs and alcohol over 9.5 years ago. But I did so that I could live real life and take a different approach to how I live my life. And it's working. And again, in these philosophies, all the stuff just converges and comes together. But reinforcing those messages helps me because I'm slow upstairs, so I need things repeated constantly. And with that, some of these things are taking and they're sticking, and this leads to a more peaceful life. And that's why I'm sharing this. I'm not saying I don't feel stress. I do, but then I do certain things when that comes up in my life. I'm not saying I don't feel anger. Um, most times I try and look at a situation and break it down to somebody made a joke about me in public. This actually happened yesterday, Saturday, 2 days ago. And it was sort of like everybody in the room was like, whoa, that's a steep joke. And I was maybe one of a couple people in the room laughing. I laughed hard because I thought it was funny and it was true. But using a certain philosophy, it says that a judgment is an observation. So my friend made a joke. It was poked at me. It was a deep poke at me, but I thought it was funny. So what happened? I laughed at my friend's joke. So did other people, and other people took it another way. So what happened? That happened. I don't have an opinion about it, and I move forward from these situations. I had to start the ball rolling with this thing in my business, taking care of an issue that was very uncomfortable. And I did it. What happened? I acted responsibly in my business and did what needed to be done. And my opinion, I acted properly in my business. So I don't really have an opinion about that because my judgment of it, my assessment of the thing, it's all the same. And it's been going on for a few weeks, maybe a month now. And old me would think about it every single day, every hour, that exhaust my wife and my family talking about it. And I realized everybody's got their own stuff. And the more I stay in it, the less happens. The more I move on and just live in the now, the more I can accomplish. I can do things like this, these videos, which I never really wanted to do, but I do it because I hope to be helpful just to one person. I don't ever make the assumption that this thing's going to grow into anything other than what this thing is today. Me talking to you, whoever you are, and hopefully being helpful and demonstrating a different way of living life. I'm not caught up and owned by drugs and alcohol anymore. And I'm not consumed by stress and anxiety anymore. And the place in the middle, is like, it's like being in the eye of a storm. There's sunlight, nothing's going on, nothing to look at here. I try and stay in the eye of the storm. Sure, there's stuff going on all around, but it's how am I going to deal with this stuff? Because not if, when these things come up. How am I going to meet the moment? I want to meet the moment with calm, thoughtful. I want to meet the moment in a rational, kind way. There's no excuse for me to be mean to anybody. And when I think like that, I don't have anybody. I have a resentment toward. I have no resentment or anger toward anybody right now. Maybe later in a future video, but not right now. Anyhow, that's enough out of me. And thank you for watching this video. Maybe they'll be shorter and I'll be more on point. I know I tend to scatter a little bit and go off on some tangents, but I'm not going to edit these things. This is just, I click record and I click stop, and that's the end. So I'm going to click stop,